Welcome, Zonovich17. Thank you so much for agreeing to be here and wanting to be part of the Tavern Talks podcast.
Of course. Thank you for having me on.
To start with, for some kind of basic information, when did you start streaming? And in addition to when you started, what made you make the decision to start streaming?
I've been on Twitch for a long time now. Like, I've had my account for a long time. I watched a lot of streamers. And so initially I started streaming 2 years ago. I did like a couple here and there for like a few months. So yeah, I did a bunch of really terrible Xbox streams. And then I just stopped because it was dumb. And then when I really started like getting into it and I had my whole setup and got my PC was April 25th of last year. I had always wanted to try it out. I enjoy video games. I enjoy talking to people. So it just kind of made sense to me. But then also with pandemic stuff, I was like, I can't go outside. So why not just start talking to people and hanging out with people in the comfort of my own home?
I think during the pandemic that brought a lot of people to Twitch or more invested in Twitch. Something I do want to kind of call out is there is a big difference between streaming occasionally every once in a while and making the commitment to kind of want to try to grow.
My first Xbox streams were like those early Fortnite days streams. So that it was that bad. It was that cringy, you know. I had no idea what I was doing, but I saw everybody else was streaming Fortnite, so I got on that. I'm glad that I've evolved since then.
It's really important to be able to find the games that you want to be streaming. Another question I'd really like to start with, describe your style for someone who's never caught one of your streams. If you're trying to explain like what it's going to be like their first time at a Zonovich17 stream.
Yeah, that's a tough question actually. Because I guess that's something I've never really thought about is like what my style of streaming is. And I guess casual and pretty conversational. I really like talking to chat. Even like right now while we're doing this, I like keep doing one of these towards my chat. I think I like to have a very like friendly vibe of when somebody comes in. I don't want that awkward moment of you go into a stream and you go, hey, how's it going? Maybe I want to stay in this community, maybe I don't. I kind of want people to come in and be like, oh, hey, this is like an inviting party. You know, when you walk in and everybody's like, hey, you, I know you, and you're just invited in. I feel very fortunate to have the core community that I do, that really every time somebody comes in, everybody's like, hey, what's up? Yeah, I feel really fortunate that I have people that foster that same kind of community feeling that I want to foster.
Since you've been streaming more regularly, streaming from a PC, what are some goals you have?
Yeah, when I first started, I had like some really clear set out goals. You know, when I first started, I was like, I want to be an affiliate. And that happened surprisingly quickly because I had like both my parents would open my stream up and my fiance would open my stream up, and I was like, there's my 3 average viewers. And then my next goal was that I wanted to do a charity stream, which we did a charity stream, which was awesome. And then since then it's kind of been, all right, where do we go from here? And what's the next step? And actually that's been something personally in my life that I've been working on lately, is not just looking for those big milestones of like, oh, I'm going to be partner next. That needs to be my next thing, is going for partner. And instead going, I had a really good day today. And that was my goal, was to have a really good, fun stream. Or, you know, I had some good clip worthy content. That was really cool for me. And so I think that I don't really have huge goals or huge aspirations for streaming, but I'm trying to instead enjoy like small little victories along the way.
My personal goal is I try to find one thing every stream that I think went well, that was good, and build off of that. And my second goal is I try to find one thing that didn't go as well as I would have liked it, and try to find a small way to improve it, to make changes. So I think you saying like goals to have fun, be more energetic, things like that are, I think, as valid a goal as my next goal is to be partner. Really great that you called that out, because I think people who are streaming, it's good for them to know like what works for them and not think like your goal after affiliate has to be partner.
Right. When I was thinking that way initially, I would have a stream where it would just, you know, it wouldn't be a good stream. There wouldn't be a lot of people that showed up, you know. It would be so like crushing to me almost. Like it would be just this big blow where you're like, dang, like what did I do wrong? And now that I'm not going, oh, well, it needs to be these huge streams because I need to be progressing, because I need to be partner. At least personally for me, I feel like that's helped me to, you know, rein it in a little bit and not not be looking so, oh, I need to be this. Like, I'm okay with where I'm at. I'm still having fun. At the end of the day, like, that's why I stream, is because I like doing it and I like talking to people. And if I have, 2 people in chat and I can just talk to them all night, that's awesome. That's all I want. That's all I need,
How have you kind of changed from the person who was not the person who was streaming from their Xbox with no camera per se, but from the person who was like reaching out to their parents to make sure you had the 3 people to hit affiliate, to where you're at, 6-7 months later?
Man, that's another actually tougher question. Because I feel like in the past year that I've been streaming, not only have I changed a lot streaming wise and online here, but in my personal life, I feel like I've changed a lot and made a lot of growth, which, as somebody who tries to include a lot of themselves in their streaming, has really affected my streaming. So I feel like just the way that I approach streaming is a lot different now than it was. I used to approach streaming as just, I don't want to say like I expect people to show up. If I didn't have that same person that was coming to the last 3 streams come to this stream, I was like, well, dang, I got to change games, or I got to do this, or I got to do that. Instead of just going, people are busy, people have lives. I'm just chilling here, doing my thing, having fun. I think at a certain point, it was becoming more about the attention and the kind of positive reinforcement that I was getting from other people watching the stream, than actually just having fun and getting to know people and content. And I took a break, didn't stream for like a month. And I came back, saw an impact to the streaming, but I definitely feel like a much healthier streamer now, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm more able to be a genuine version of myself and talk to people and just be what I want to be.
I think it's really good to take a break. It gets scary to take a break, and not everyone has to take a break, but sometimes what you need, even if it means your numbers are going to be a bit lower when you come back, is you take the time to either reevaluate, recenter yourself. So I think it's really good that you were willing to take that break, because sometimes you do need to step away to like look from an outside point of view. Did you have any like inspiration? Are there people you look to for inspiration?
A lot of sources. I always, whenever I'm doing school or anything, I'll have a streamer up on my other monitor. But I think 2 of the bigger inspirations that I've had, I was following this smaller streamer that I knew, and they were doing pretty well. But sometimes they would just say some things that would just be really off-putting, and it would kind of like push people out of their community, or they'd like specifically call out people in chat. And it got really uncomfortable. And I stopped watching this streamer because of that. But it kind of made me go, well, I could do that better. Like, that's something I could do. And then I think the other streamer that probably has inspired me the most is Dr. Lupo. He always does this big fundraiser for St. Jude's, and he'll raise like $2 million for St. Jude's. Every single time he does it, like, I'll watch as much as I can. He does this 24-hour stream, which is what inspired me to do my 24-hour charity stream. And since I've been on Twitch, that's something that I always thought was so cool. And so that's why when I started streaming, doing a charity stream was such a big goal for me, is because I had watched these Dr. Lupo streams so much and was very inspired by that.
Kind of going back and speaking about community. Basically, our communities kind of grow around our content and what we like allow or don't allow or encourage. So like, what ways have you kind of shaped your community since you've been streaming?
I definitely don't discourage my community from being trolls a little bit. But I always try to make sure that it's centered towards me. Like, I don't want my chat to be toxic to each other ever, and they never are. They're really, really nice to each other. But I've always kind of tried to make sure that if there were any like jabbing jokes, like direct them at me, because I can use that and I can like let that bounce off into some more content and riff off of that and make jokes about that. You know, if you spend any time in my chat, they'll make some ruthless jokes and they'll make some trolly things. And I definitely have kind of built my community around just me doing dumb stuff and chat making fun of me for it. So
use the quote, I learned it from watching you, Dad, is very true about communities. I always like to hear how people kind of shape their communities, but you do a lot of variety in general. ESO is like the main community that I've been spending a lot of time in and growing in. So I'm just curious, what made you make the selection to not just try ESO, but decide to use it as a game that you stream?
So when I started streaming, I didn't really know what to stream, because there were games that I enjoyed, but I was like, well, I don't have anybody to play them with, and they're all games that require like a team or something like that. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just, play some story games. And I started out with story games, but then I'd finish a story game in a week or less. And then I'd start on another one, and I'd finish that, and I'd start on it. And so I started like buying games almost every week. And so I was like, well, I'm not making enough money on streaming to be buying a new game every week. So I better get something that'll last me a while. And I've always really liked MMOs, and I've played MMOs since I was really young. I played Lord of the Rings online religiously through high school, had a lot of good experiences on that. Learned a lot about the MMO communities from that, good and bad. I just went online, I think, and I looked up like, what are good MMOs right now? And I saw Elder Scrolls Online. And I was like, well, that kind of looks like a fun game. Like, I always have really enjoyed the Elder Scrolls series. I couldn't even tell you an ungodly amount of time in Skyrim. So I was like, oh, why not try that? And so I downloaded it and I started it, and it was fun. And so I just kept going with it.
So when it comes to your ESO, just curious if you have specific content you enjoy streaming, or if it's just kind of like a little bit of everything.
It's whatever happens that day, pretty much. When I go into things, I just kind of go, whatever happens, happens. And I'm not really looking at like, oh, I need to make this specific content, which I know I need to do. But it's kind of how I live my life anyway, of like, we'll see where the day takes me. And so that's kind of what I feel like I do every time I get on ESO. I'll get on, maybe I'll start grinding dungeons. Maybe I'll go and do some PvP. Maybe I'll just run around and try to find glitches. I don't know. It'll happen.
The last question I'd like to ask about ESO, because it's super open-ended and there's no like real right or wrong answer. There's a hashtag people like to use, which is the hashtag ESO fam. Does that hashtag have any particular meaning to you?
For me, what I've really enjoyed about this game is the people that I've met just randomly, even if it's somebody in a dungeon that I'm in and they're just really friendly. I think that the whole ESO community feels much more friendly than any other MMO that I've played. And so I guess whenever I see that, that's kind of what I think of, is like, it is a big community of people that just kind of help each other. Yeah, I mean, I've had maybe 2 bad interactions the entire time that I've played the game, which is very rare for any video game. And so I guess to me, it's like everybody is so interconnected, and you can literally pick up and play with anybody and you're going to have a good time.
Some of the bigger streamers in ESO will reach out and help smaller streamers, and I think that's really kind of a cool part about the community.
Yeah, well, and I mean, like, probably my first ever substantial sized raid was KJ. I mean, I didn't know who KJ was at all. I didn't really know anybody in the ESO community, and I randomly got raided by KJ. I think it was like a mid-size, I'd say like a 20-ish viewer stream that I was having, which is real good for me. And I went over and I raided Miss Domeshot, and I didn't know her before then. Zushika had just found her and was like, hey, you should raid this person. And then I went into your chat and both of them were there, and I was like, oh, hey, there's these 2 people that I met. Rubinsky, he has been in my streams before. Really cool guy, but really big streamer, really big YouTube audience, super chilled, down to earth, like doesn't have any sort of ego on him, just a nice guy, and doesn't mind sharing his community, doesn't mind sharing his knowledge even. That's really cool that it's not this, oh, this is my community and I'm keeping it for myself. Almost more than any other game that I've played, post stream, people are passing their communities to somebody else, and I think that's really cool.
What other games? I know you've been playing Valheim lately. So what other content have you been doing on your channel in addition to ESO?
So I've played a lot of like survival games. I played Ark for a really long time, for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something. And then I stopped, came back to it later on, And those streams were always pretty popular to do Arc. From that, a small development company, reached out to me and had me play a game of theirs called Citadel, which is also a survival game, but like with wizards. We've played a lot of survival games like Valheim on the stream. We, for a while, have been doing every other Saturday, sometimes consistently, of old school games. So by old school, it's more of just either crappy games from your childhood or just older games that we wanted to try or do.
And then another thing I wanted to ask is, we talked a lot about games. Like I said, you did the charity stream, you've done some sections of just chatting. Have you spent any like lengthy time in just chatting, food and beverage, some of those like IRL categories, or see yourself spending time in those IRL categories other than just like a pit stop during a long stream or something?
Not really. I mean, I do enjoy just chatting, actually. And I'm sure that I will in the future, but I haven't quite to this point, other than doing like the hot ones and just sometimes where I'll just take 20-ish minutes. But I also, this kind of going back to streamers that you admire, I always love that Tim the Tatman will do like an hour of just chatting to start his stream, because I just like that it's engagement with your chat and your supporters and stuff. And so I could definitely see myself at some point, if I were to get to that level of streaming, taking time at the beginning of every stream to just sit and talk and get to know people a little better. Other than that, I think I've done maybe a few just like small IRL streams, but I'm not a huge fan of that format. I always feel really weird just kind of holding my phone up, getting that like weird angles. I need lighting to make me look good.
Something that I wanted to ask about, which is, until you're at a point in content creation where you can do it full time, how do you maintain being a teacher and working? You also mentioned being in school, you have a fiance, so you have all these things. So how do you kind of keep all those balls in the air juggling?
So that's something that I really, really struggled with when I first started. Because if I was really focused on streaming, then it's like one thing would kind of fall by the wayside. And that's kind of part of the reason that I took that month-long break, was to like get everything in order and focus on what I needed to focus on and get everything where it needed to be so that I could balance streaming with it as well. Yeah, it's been really difficult to balance it, because obviously, like, I'll wake up, I'll stream. My schedule has been kind of crazy. It still is finding that balance, especially with changing work schedules sometimes. But normally I'll wake up, I'll stream. As soon as stream ends, I'll grab food, I'll start doing school. As soon as school ends, I'll go to work, get home, make dinner, watch something on Netflix with my fiance, and that's the whole day. Finding time to jam everything into one day is always really tough. I mean, it hasn't been too bad. It hasn't been too bad. And luckily with my fiance, she's always hanging out with me in stream. So that's kind of nice to kind of have time together with that.
And so one more thing is, what is down the road for Zonovich, whether it's immediately or in the future?
I definitely am planning on getting back into some more ESO, because I got out of it for a little bit. I'll probably start adding a little more variety in the coming weeks of just games that I've been wanting to play and I've been neglecting. And then as far as the more distant future, I get married in November.
Oh, awesome.
But Zushiko won't let me stream the wedding, so that's a bummer. But
that's content.
I know, that's what I was like. I'm gonna get my best man to wear like a GoPro or something. It's like, you're there, but nope, she won't let it happen. But yeah, I'm probably just gonna keep doing what I'm doing and having fun, and that's kind of becoming my main focus, more than getting viewers, more than getting subscribers, more than what I had been focused on. I think that I am trying to change my mindset of focusing on just having a good time and hopefully having a good time with other people. And it's nice to, like, I've known of you and I've known you for a long time now. And this is the first time we've ever like actually talked.
Yeah, other than like in each other's streams or like quick messages. Yeah. Thank you once again, Zonovich17, for joining us. Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zanovich17. You can find me Zanovich17 on Instagram, Twitter, and then TikTok is also Zanovich17.
So again, thank you so much for joining us. You have a great rest of your stream, Zanovich.
Yeah, you too.
And we'll talk soon.